Well, welcome back to the 100th podcast. My name is Nate Robinson here with Pastor Joseph Tillman, full D-Man. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome. Doing great.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Just enjoying the life that exists after doctoral studies are done.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
What does that mean?
That means just normal life, to be honest with you. So just normal rhythms of life.
And just normal life
yeah,
as a pastor.
I don't feel like this, crazy need to have to go write or read or research things at all points in time. I mean, I still like to do that stuff, but that's not like some impending deadline.
It's not somebody else making you do it.
Right. And it's not like some impending deadline upon my life.
Right.
So that consumes all of my thoughts.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a list of stuff to do.
Oh, that's great.
For the podcast.
I appreciate that.
Purposes.
Yeah, thanks.
Like I do all the time.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to them this time.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Today we're finishing up Bible creatures, and I had no idea it was going to take this long.
Me neither.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy stuff in there.
Yep. Today is unicorns and cockatrices and whales, which may not be whales.
Right.
And a bunch of crap in Revelation.
The beast in Revelation, yes.
Yeah, just all the rest of whatever Revelation
Well, we're not
is.
talking about all the rest of Revelation, but one chapter in Revelation.
Yeah. That's five creatures that we have talked about from Revelation, right?
We did the dragon.
The dragon, and then the
like the seraphim and the cherubim, and
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Read the ad again.
All right, here we go. Before we get started today with our questions, we want to shout out our sponsor, the Discipleship Group. The Discipleship Group is a systematic training for Christians who want to go deeper and grow stronger in their relationship with God. In these courses, Dr. Jay Zen brings you over 4 decades of study, pastoring, and teaching to equip the saints to make disciples. The Discipleship Group is a series of 6 books, each book consisting of 26 weeks. Therefore, it's 3 years of study. Each week has articles written by the author to read, a chapter from a supplemental book like The Passion for God or More Than a Carpenter, The Master Plan of Evangelism, and there's scripture readings each week from the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Psalms. I've used the Discipleship Group resources for over a decade. I've used them in groups of 2 to 3 people. I've used them in small groups up to 12 people. And I can tell you, as a pastor, as someone who spends a lot of time making disciples and meeting with others, that the Discipleship Group resources are the best that I have found for growing in our faith and for encouraging us to go and make disciples ourselves. Go to discipleshipgroup.com, check out their resources, find out information about Dr. J, and I'm telling you, you will not regret it.
Most exquisite job.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
It is. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Go to Patreon, $5. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, download. No, that's the end. We do longer stuff. Patreon. It's a website.
Yeah.
Where you can give us dollars, and then there is, we get it. We get the money.
That's all we care about,
Yeah.
actually. So just the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it just sits there, and if we need it, we use it.
Right.
Yeah. But until then, we don't.
Correct.
Cool.
Yep.
You can go to our website where there is merchandise.
Yes, sir.
Which has our logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can wear that and use that.
Yep.
This sounds really boring.
I was going to say, this is very uninspiring. like no energy, no excitement.
Sorry.
We're
here earlier than normal.
Nate hasn't fully woken up yet. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Now my eye was weird. Excitement.
Excitement.
How about
Facebook
and Instagram?
You're right.
And YouTube, which is where the episodes could be.
Yep.
Yep.
And
place
any you can find your podcast.
Yeah. You can comment there and like and
subscribe, hit
share,
notification bell.
Share things.
Right.
You can share stuff with all of your friends.
Yep, absolutely can.
Woo, am I excited about that?
I know you are.
About people sharing
I can
things.
see it in your face.
Yep. Look deep into my eyes.
Well,
The excitement over sharing is in there somewhere.
right.
I can't find it either.
There's just an eye twitching. I think it hurts.
Is there?
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Ugh. Unicorns. Okay, let's get started with the creatures.
Please.
Okay, so there's unicorns in the Bible. So tell me about the unicorns in the Bible.
All right. Yeah. So in the King James version, we do find the use of the word unicorn 9 different times, actually.
9?
9. And so in Numbers 23, verse 22, it says, God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. And so there's and the reason King James version, like
So
translation,
according to your definition of poetry last week,
right? But this, and we do like King James, but like this is a historical book talking about the strength of a unicorn. Now, the Christian Standard Bible, for example, would translate it this way: Numbers 23, verse 22. God brought them out of Egypt. He is like the horns of a wild ox for them.
that's not a unicorn.
That's not a unicorn. And both, I think the reality is we're just struggling to find a good English word.
So who's
use.
right? King James or Standard Christians?
Well, it's referring to a beast with one horn. Okay? So
But oxes have 2 horns.
right, that's why I'm saying there's not like a good equivalent here that we're working with. Right. And so you just got one horn, but it's not like a unicorn in the way that, like, that's what King James Version used because of a lack of a good English word. They went with unicorn. So that was probably not the best move, because then you think, man, it's just a bunch of fairy tale type stuff, and who's going to take this seriously because you keep using the word unicorn.
Okay.
But that's what it's referring to. It's referring to a beast, a creature, something that is obviously strong, because it's talking about the strength of. And I think the idea of the strength of this animal is why we get the idea of an ox. And so, yeah. So again,
oxes are like triceratopses.
Something.
Sort of.
So, yeah, but like, I guess the reality is like we just don't have a great English word. So therefore, King James used the word unicorn. That it's not meaning what most people think of, like when they think of unicorns today.
Okay.
And so, but then it's also not referring to, like, when it says ox, it's not exactly like an ox that we have today either. So again, problem with translations.
So all of our animals are different than what they used to have.
I don't say all of them are. I mean, we have birds. We still have birds today. We have fish. There's still fish today. So yeah, I mean,
but they had giant.
There's snakes. We still have snakes today.
Okay, fine.
There's horses back then. We have horses today. Goats, lambs, camels, right? All that good fun stuff.
Mosquitoes.
Oh man, they're the worst.
Yes.
Yeah. And gnats.
Yeah.
I don't know
with
what
a silent g.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gnats.
The gnats. But
yeah.
Thankfully, where we are, like, we're above the gnat line in Georgia. So
I don't know what that means.
It means that, so like when I was growing up in South Georgia, there's gnats all over the place.
So unicorns aren't real.
Yeah, back to unicorns. You're right. Sorry. Yeah, unicorns are not real. Even if the Bible says that they are. You're right.
Unicorns are not real. For the Bible's lying.
It's not that the Bible's lying. It's just that
King James is.
Well, the translators were trying to find a word. That's the best word they had to go with, apparently, and
9 times.
So 9 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Do people believe that unicorns were real because of this?
I bet there probably are, like, especially. Okay, I have not asked anyone, because I know like some King James literalists. Like, in other words, they're King James only, so they believe that's the only translation that Christians should use, and they're literalists. They take everything in the Bible literally. So therefore, I bet they would completely, wholeheartedly believe that unicorns are real based upon that.
Okay.
I mean, that would be the logical conclusion.
Yeah.
So, but I've never asked, and I know some people who are that way. I need to ask them what they think about unicorns.
Comment below.
Right. Yeah. And if maybe you believe that, comment below.
Cool.
Yeah.
Call to action.
Right. But
that's what that is.
So it's something. So, but yeah, I just think I think it's just a poor translation, and that they just, again, that's the word that they had in English to roll with. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Unicorns.
Yeah. No, unicorns are not real.
All right. All right. So the next one is, and I'm going to say this one slowly for good view.
Thank you, I guess. I don't, yeah.
Is the, I'm just kidding. I'll say it quickly for good view.
Okay.
Cockatrice.
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 Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So you're
I'm not saying people on good view are dumb, by the way, unless you don't understand the joke, in which case, oh boy.
Okay.
And if you still don't understand what I'm talking about,
just move on.
Yikes.
We're moving on.
Cockatrice.
Right.
Get it?
Got it.
They're in the Bible.
All right.
What do we got?
They are. All right. So once again, all right, we're so just like we just talked about this last time with the King James and the the words they use, okay?
Yeah.
So same kind of thing. All right. So in the King James version, Isaiah 59 verse 5, it says, "They hath cockatrice eggs, and weave the spider's web. He that eateth of their eggs dieth, and that which is crushed breaketh out into a viper."
King James is so great.
It's got.
I wish you would read it all the time.
Is that what you want me to start rolling
Lots
with?
of ifs.
There's a lot of ifs. It's hard to read.
Yeah.
It really is hard to read.
Yeah, but it's funny to watch you do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I love the people that are just like, that's, King James is the only translation they use. And yet when they're reading it out loud, it's like they're just stumbling over it the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, man. There's a reason we've got different translations nowadays. But I get it. Maybe we could do a whole episode on King James only, but whatever. All right. So the Christian Standard Bible.
The problem is that if you translate the King James version of cockatrice into our more modern language, it's worse.
Well, that's why you just translate from the Greek and the Hebrew and not from directly from King James. All right. So Isaiah 59 verse 5. So in the Christian Standard Bible reads this way: "They hath vipers' eggs and weave spiders' webs. Whoever eats their eggs will die. Crack one open and a viper is hatched." And so again, it's referring to, so instead of using cockatrice, it's using the word viper.
Okay.
All right.
So what is a cockatrice?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? That's why there's this word that's called cockatrice that we're trying to figure out how to use. And so it's an unused, like, it's coming from a root word that's really like rarely used. Is part of the problem.
Okay.
So in other words, in the Hebrew, it's like coming from an unused root, which means to extrude. And so that's why the idea like of a viper. And so, yeah. Oh no. All right.
What'd you say? Extrude?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm seeing some root word connections here.
I bet you are. All right. And so there's, and I'm not even going to read the rest of it because it gets worse. All right. So, but yeah, so they translate it 4 times in the King James Version as cockatrice.
Okay.
All right. But because the idea of like extruding, like viper, that's why the like translations today use the word viper.
So why was this on the list?
What list?
Why is this on our list?
Oh, of weird.
Why are we talking about it then?
Well, I don't know.
Is it a weird thing?
I mean, it's just, I don't think it's a weird thing I mean, it might be. I mean, again, we're using the word viper, but it's not. Okay, what's interesting is, let me put it this way. There's 2 Hebrew words that end up being translated as viper. Okay?
Okay.
One of them is this, the idea of cockatrice. The other one is actually like viper, like serpent, like we have today.
Okay.
All right? And that we would use today. So this is like this. So all I'm saying is this is like
but is cockatrice defined as something else?
Like, in other words, like what is it defined as?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Yeah. So when you look up cockatrice in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it's just a legendary serpent that is hatched by a reptile from a cock's egg and that has a deadly glance.
All right.
Yeah. And so it's
it's a chicken snake.
Right. It's kind of like the way it's being referred to as.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but I think, I'm talking about this, it's like this, again, it's like this legendary serpent, comes from a cock's egg, has a deadly glance. Yeah. So again, we're pulling.
So it's a snake.
We're pulling these kind of words. Right. And that's the thing. It's like in every translation, we're using words that we're familiar with, that we know, that we can relate things to, right?
Okay.
So when we're translating from in this case, from Hebrew to English, so in King James Version, they're using this Elizabethan English, and they're translating it with words that they know, that they understand, that they have a connection to.
So it's Elizabeth's fault.
Sure, blame her. Yeah, but like in today's English in America, we're not using the word like cockatrice. Like, that's not a word we're going to often be using.
Well, right.
And so
because we don't even know what it is.
Right. It's like a it looks like that its first known use of cockatrice was in 14th century Middle English.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm saying. It's like it's coming from, or even medieval Latin, but it's coming from a time period where that word was used. We don't use that word now. We don't have a clue what that word means.
Okay.
Right? Hence viper. So
right.
Welcome to translations and the joy of translations, and why translations date over time, where King James is a really good translation in the sense of it's a good translation, but the words they use, we're not using. Some words they use, we're not using often today. Therefore,
right.
That's what makes it a difficult translation for us to use, because we're not even familiar with the terms they're using.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Is this when Shakespeare was around?
Yeah.
Because he made up a lot of crap too. He did though.
I don't think Shakespeare's making up this. So,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't think so. But you could ask my wife. She's an English major. She's all about all of this stuff, and so.
Well, you never bring her, so. I bring my wife.
You do.
That's when she pushes the buttons for us.
Right. And my wife has no interest in doing that. So, yeah. But, no, so she's...
Cockatrices.
Cockatrices.
Sweet. Not real.
Not real.
Just a snake.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is just snake.
Okay, so in the Bible, there's also a big old fish.
Right, big fish.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's that guy doing?
All right, so the fish that's swallowing Jonah, I assume is what we're referring to.
Yes, because that story is bizarre.
Okay. It's an interesting...
Is this a metaphor book?
Okay, so this is so this falls within prophetic literature.
Okay, so it's not real.
No, didn't say that. It falls within prophetic literature.
Okay.
And most often in prophetic literature, they are referring to real events. Okay, so in other words, the individuals that are prophesying, Daniel, Ezekiel, like they're real people in real locations at real times, prophesying about things that are about to happen.
And this one's Jonah.
This was Jonah.
Okay.
All right. And so,
this is the only story we hear about him, right? That's what his whole thing is about.
Is what?
We never hear about him before or after this.
We never hear about Jonah. Okay, well, that's actually not true.
Oh.
All right. So we know that Jonah is actually referenced in other Old Testament literature. Okay.
Oh.
And then we know, because it refers to so the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. And we know Amittai is a real person.
Okay.
Okay.
From what?
From, what book was that? He is in
a different part of the Bible.
Yes. So he's So he's Old Testament. He's Old Testament literature. I think it's in one of the Chronicles.
Okay.
Yeah. So Amittai is mentioned, and so
in one of those long lists of names that you skip every time you read the Bible.
Some people skip those long lists.
No, everybody does.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people do. Most people do. And so we know Jonah is a real person coming from a real, as a real dad, right? And then Jesus actually refers to Jonah later on.
Okay.
All right. So let me read the verse about Jonah, and then let me read the verse from Jesus. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So in Jonah chapter 1, verse 17, the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah.
Great fish.
A great fish.
That's what we get.
It's a large fish.
Okay.
Yes. To swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. And then Jonah chapter 2, verse 1, and Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the belly of the fish. So Jonah in the belly of the fish, 3 days, 3 nights, and we know he's praised to God, and he ends up being spewed out at some point.
1 star would not stay here again.
Right. Yeah. Yes, correct. If he was giving a review of it,
yes,
of the location of the accommodations, not thrilled. All
Went
right.
to sleep, woke up somewhere else.
Right.
Traveling hotels suck.
They can. All right. So in Matthew, back to the story.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Matthew chapter 12.
Unicorns.
Verse 38. No. Large fish. Jonah. All right. So it says, then some of the scribes and Pharisees said to Jesus, "Teacher, we want to see a sign from you." And he answered them, "An evil and adulterous generation demands a sign, but no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was in the belly of the huge fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. The men of Nineveh will stand up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, because they repented at Jonah's preaching. And look, something greater than Jonah is here." And so
him.
Yeah, Jesus. Right. And so Jesus is referring to Jonah and is saying that just like Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days, 3 nights, so will Jesus be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights.
What is the first? If what? Like, why are we a deceitful generation or whatever?
Oh, okay. Like, so when it refers to an evil and adulterous generation demands a sign, but no sign will be given it except the sign of the prophet Jonah.
Okay.
I don't know. So, like, what he's saying here is, like, you're demanding a sign, but the only sign I'm actually going to give you that you're going to actually
is that you're going to be stuck in a fish for 3 days.
No, is that Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days. I'm going to die. What he's saying here is, I'm going to die, be buried, dead, and then I will rise from the grave.
If I'm a horrible person and only look for or demand a sign from God, that's the sign I'm going to get.
Yeah.
So if I demand that God show me a sign, he's just going to refer me to the department of Jesus.
To the department of Jesus. Well, I think that's and we see this issue of, well, I know we're getting off trail now, but we see this issue of people wanting and demanding signs. Paul addresses it in 1 Corinthians, for example.
Okay.
And he says, you're always wanting a sign. Right. And so
you just go to Jesus.
And
is that what he's saying?
Yeah. Ultimately, he's saying is there is like one sign that is above all signs, and it's that Christ died and that Christ rose.
Okay.
So that's actually the only sign you need.
So it's not fine, or it's fine to demand signs from God.
I mean, you can demand them, just realize you may not get them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask for them?
You can ask for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask for a whale?
You can ask for one. Yes. Okay. You can. Sure. You can ask.
All right. So what's up with this fish?
All right. So yeah, getting back to our boy Jonah. So Jonah is actually in a fish, and so the issue obviously always like questions. Number one, what kind of fish was this?
Exactly.
And then
that was going to be my first question.
Right. And then number two, did this really happen? Could someone really survive in the belly of the fish?
Right.
For that long? Right.
Right.
And so number one, and so some people will hear about a whale, right? And it's just because we use the word whale because we're trying to describe a large fish.
Right.
All right. And so, and we know
even though whales aren't really fish.
Whales, I don't know. Are they not?
They're mammals.
They're mammals.
So they're not fish.
Yeah. Well.
So they lie.
Yeah. So it's not a whale.
Right.
Okay.
Which means it also couldn't be a dinosaur because those are reptiles.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we got fish here.
Yeah.
And And so the idea of that
There's going to be some exceptions out there, and someone's going to say something.
100%. Yeah. You're destroyed. All
I
right.
know.
And have fun with that. All right. So verse 17. So the Lord appointed a great fish. And I think that's kind of the big deal in all this is that the Lord actually appointed this fish to be there, to swallow Jonah.
Okay.
And eventually to spit Jonah out. Like the Lord set all of this up. The Lord arranged all of this.
Okay.
And so can the Lord create a fish that's so large that they can swallow a person and the person survive in the belly of that fish for 3 days, 3 nights? Yes. The answer to that question is yes.
How would you get any sleep?
You probably wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't think you're sleeping much if you're in the belly of a fish.
And how is the fish not eating you?
Yeah, like, that's a whole other part of it, right? Like, why is there not the digestive qualities going on here, right? Like, why are they not being fully digested and and broken down? Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The Lord obviously appointed this fish, created this fish for this purpose, and so yeah, and I just believe the Lord can do that, and so that's what the Lord did, and I'm good with that.
So you don't care what type of fish it was?
No. Doesn't bother me in the least.
Okay.
At least now, I know that there are some individuals, because like, for example, there's been some stories recently, or like a story recently, like where someone was actually swallowed by a whale.
Okay.
And actually was swallowed, was there in the well for a while.
Was this to prove the Bible's true?
And then, no, they were trying to prove nothing. They just literally got swallowed.
Okay.
And then spit out. But they were only in there for like, and I say only, I mean, it was like 45 minutes or something. That'd be like a horrifying 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And, but the dude survived. So,
Ugh.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the story of
So this isn't
Jonah.
some weird fish.
I mean, it's probably,
it's kind of weird because
it's gotta
God
be-
made it specifically or
right.
appointed it specifically for this
Right.
purpose.
Right.
So that makes it weird.
Yeah. That makes it, and think about how large the fish would probably have to be.
Right.
Yeah. So it was,
Yeah.
it's got a
Like,
dude
could
just,
he walk around in there?
Yeah. Like, I don't know if Jonah's like having to be like curled up or if he's like, just hanging out.
Because I feel like if you were in a whale
Running
today,
around.
you'd be like laying flat and just stuck.
You could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what if like Jonah's like figures out like, all right, I'm not dying. I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, do you just start like running around and having fun and like jumping off of things and
Playing racquetball.
right. Set up a basketball hoop.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Could it talk?
could the whale talk?
Yeah.
Or the fish? I used the word whale. Yeah. No, I don't. There's no point in here where like the fish is talking to Jonah
Okay.
or Jonah's talking to the fish. Like they're not having a conversation.
Okay. So in Revelation, there's 2 beasts.
Yes, sir. There is.
Okay. So first beast, number 1.
Okay.
Question. What is it?
All right. So in Revelation 13, it lists 2 different beasts. Okay. So the first one it says is a beast that's coming up out of the sea. So it's described as having 10 horns and 7 heads. And on its horns were 10 crowns.
That's Leviathan.
And on its heads were blasphemous names.
What?
Right. All right. So let me just keep reading. All right. The beast I saw was like a leopard. Okay.
Okay.
Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. Okay, you got the image?
Which mouth? Which of the 7 mouths?
It just says it
has 7 heads.
it has 7 heads.
So which mouth?
I don't
lion's
know.
mouth?
It's primary. It's primary head.
Okay.
All right. All right. Lions.
Conjecture.
Right. The dragon, and then we got the dragon coming back into play here.
Oh,
So
God.
you'll love this.
Okay.
All right. So here's the dragon gave the beast his power, his throne, and great authority.
Over
Okay?
what?
It's over. All right. Well, let me keep reading. All right. Because it's going to answer that question for you.
Okay.
One of its heads appeared to be fatally wounded. Okay. But its fatal wound was healed. All right.
What? What?
Yeah. All right. We're going to break all this down in just a second. All right.
I saw this dead thing, but it was alive.
Right. Well, it was healed.
It was a zombie.
It was healed. All right. Anyway. All right. So the whole earth was amazed and followed the beast. They worshiped the dragon because he gave authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to wage war against it?" The beast was given a mouth to utter boasts and blasphemies. It was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. Okay, so 3.5 years.
Okay.
It began to speak blasphemies against God,
Mm-hmm.
to blaspheme his name and his dwelling and those who dwell in heaven. It was permitted to wage war against the saints and to conquer them. It was also given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. And all those who live on the earth will worship it, everyone whose name was not written from the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slaughtered. If anyone has ears to hear, let him listen. Okay. And so
maybe God knew that we were going to have AI at some point and had to make something that looked crazier than what we can see and do with that so that we knew it was horrible.
Right. So are you equating AI in this?
Yes.
So AI is the Antichrist.
Not on a moral level, but
Right.
on a output level.
Right.
Because, yeah.
All right. So here's the deal. So this beast is referred to as the Antichrist.
Okay.
Okay. And so the dragon there, remember, is the devil, Satan. That was established in previous episode.
Oh, we did that. All
right.
Okay.
And so
that dragon's back.
the dragon's right.
Okay.
And so this dragon, the dragon, Satan.
It's a good thing we did that one first.
Right. Satan gives power, okay, to the Antichrist, to the beast. And so he is now leading, it seems, he's leading the whole earth. Okay?
This
So
crazy looking half dead
Right. Well, I mean,
beast.
right. And so, all right, we're going to go to a chapter here in Daniel 7, which may bring some more insight onto this beast here.
But also probably more questions than insight.
I mean, that's kind of the way these things roll.
Okay.
You know, all right.
Okay.
All right.
And this is just one of the two beasts.
Right.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. So remember there's a beast appeared, right?
Okay.
All right. It was like a leopard. Okay. Same thing as the other one.
Okay.
Right. So I'm in Daniel 7 for this one.
Why is
okay?
Daniel talking about this?
Because, all right. So Daniel is in the book of Daniel. So Daniel's a prophet, right?
Sure.
He's in the prophetic literature, Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
But most people look at a lot of Daniel, not all of it, but a lot of Daniel is apocalyptic in its literature genre.
Okay.
And so it's looking at end times kind of things.
Okay.
All right. All right. So let me kind of read this section. It's kind of an interesting one, and we'll see where we go from here. All right.
Okay.
All right. And so while I was considering the horns, suddenly another horn, a little one, came up among them. And 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. And suddenly in this horn, there were eyes like the eyes of a human and a mouth that was speaking arrogantly. And so the reason I wanted to mention this with the horns, I know you're like, oh my God,
This is so dumb.
this is
It's just random.
It's okay. It's not random though. It's anytime again we're looking at the future, right? It's a weird picture, okay?
Future's gonna be crazy.
Future's going to be crazy, right?
Jeez.
And so what it's kind of referring to here is that it seems like the beast with the horns and like they actually may be representative of different empires and nations collaboratively coming together
Okay.
and being under the head or under the leadership of this one beast.
Oh.
Okay. So like the idea of the 10 horns, the 7 heads, 10 crowns on all the horns. It's like this idea of all of these rulers from all of these nations have like come together, and now there's like one global empire. Okay. With and this global empire in regards to, you know, the economy and business and just political governance is this one massive empire that this Antichrist is ruling. Okay, reigning from. And so that's this first beast.
Okay.
Antichrist given power by Satan.
So the first beast is the Antichrist.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's what he looks like.
Well, no. I mean...
What? That's all you've talked about.
I'm not saying it's literal 10 horns and literal 7 heads. Okay. And so like all of like this is the apocalyptic part, right? Like we're having to read this and go,
is it even a beast?
It's a
Are we even talking right now? Is this a simulation? What are we doing?
Right. This has got to be AI.
Yeah, this is the worthy AI.
Right. Are we in the entity?
Joseph.
All right. So, all right.
Joseph got to go to the movies.
I did. It was awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
It was awesome.
All right.
So.
Okay, so none of this is real. Who cares? Next one.
Anyway, all right, yes, moving on. All right, no, it's real in the sense that there's going to be an Antichrist. These things will happen, but does it look like all of this? No.
This is just a crazy thing that Daniel saw, and that whoever
Revelation and John in Revelation.
Which John? Was it 1 John, 2 John, or 3 John?
The John who wrote all 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Johns.
Okay,
along with the Gospel of John. The John that was with Jesus. How about that?
Oh.
John, the brother of James, who was with Jesus.
All right, so this thing's weird and
so
it's not real.
Okay, so we've got so we got the Antichrist, all right?
Okay.
That's the beast of the sea.
So why put this in the Bible if this is fake?
But it's not, okay. All right, it's not that it's fake.
Okay.
All right? It's the fact that they're using imagery to describe.
Okay.
And yes, it's poetic type language and imagery, right? It's not, it's not like it's trying to paint a picture of what, how bad this is going to be. Okay? That there's going to be an Antichrist, and this beast, if you were, is going to be, blaspheming against God.
So it might not be horns. It'll be like other demon guys that rule over different parts of stuff.
And the idea of the horns and the crowns and all the heads, it's all that idea of that this beast encompasses all of this in himself. So in other words, he's overseeing, ruling over all of these areas.
So a beast in not literal beast form, but in like destructive and authoritative power.
Correct. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
So this thing's not real.
There we go.
I get it. But it's still not a thing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I understand. And so does everyone in the audience. Cool.
All right.
All right. Beast number 2.
All right. Well, all right.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, before we get to beast 2, let me just share real quick about the first beast. Okay. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until, talk about the day of the Lord, until the apostasy comes first and the man of lawlessness is revealed.
Apostasy?
Apostasy.
What?
Apostasy is believers falling away.
Oh.
Yeah. So throughout end time literature, or, what we see is that there's going to be this time where believers begin to fall away in the end times.
Okay.
Yeah, leading up into the end times. Okay. And so the apostasy comes first. Man of lawlessness is revealed, the man doomed to destruction. He opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship, so that he sits in God's temple, proclaiming that he himself is God.
Okay.
So this is the same one that's being referred to. Okay.
Man, Revelation used to be cooler when none of this was fake.
Well, I mean, but if you're expecting to see a literal dragon and a literal beast looking like all this, then yeah, you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah,
because that's what you were hoping for.
End times are gonna be boring, you know. They try to make it cool, but it's not.
Well, no.
Great.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a great and terrible day of the Lord. Great for some, terrible for others.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So, and that's kind of the, and that this is the idea that this individual, this lawless one, okay,
the Antichrist,
okay, all right, is present and is there and is really like this idea, and I say Antichrist, it's like this idea of a fake Christ, right?
Okay,
one who's proclaiming to be Christ, if you were, but is actually not. All right,
so he's going to actually like try to act like Jesus.
Well, rule
okay
with authority as if he is a god.
And we're supposed to have read Revelation and know that he's the wrong one because he came before Jesus got here.
Right. And so, and also,
and this is the only way that we're supposed to know.
And remembering that he is going to be given the authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation, and the authority to conquer, to kill those that are following Christ. Because what will happen is he will set himself up as a god, right, to be worshipped. And those who do not worship him will be killed by him.
Okay.
As Christians, we will not worship.
Does it say anything about him being orange?
No.
Okay.
No. I see where you're going with this, but no.
Okay.
Right. I'm scared too. All right. All right.
Whew. All right, good. It definitely would have said that if this was that.
What color are leopards?
Okay, so the second beast of Revelation. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right. So
are we on to the next one? Are we done with that one?
Look, we need to be done with that one.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Before we start getting into conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Okay. All right. There's a beast from the sea, Antichrist. Now there's a beast from the earth.
Okay.
Okay. False prophet.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. Verse 11 of Revelation 13. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb.
Wait, this is right after the other one.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The first beast, and then we're rolling right into second beast.
Right into second beast. All right.
In Revelation.
In Revelation.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
So second beast. So beast coming up out of the earth has two horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority.
Okay.
I know.
You said the dragon didn't talk. And also the dragon wasn't real, and that the first beast wasn't real, and now that we're...
I never said, well, okay. I did say it's not a literal dragon and not a literal beast.
But now we're comparing this fake thing to something that we should know is real that also talks.
No, okay. Hey, hang on with me. Just let me keep going, right?
Okay.
All right.
I'll try to be quiet till the end. But it's not going to happen.
I know. But it spoke like a dragon. it exercises all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, okay? And compels the earth and those who live on it to worship the first beast, whose fatal wound was healed, okay? So if there's a world leader that's starting to rule like everything, and they are fatally wounded, but are healed, we're looking at possibly the Antichrist.
Okay.
Right. He wasn't fatally wounded though.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Right. Okay, just wounded.
Okay.
It's close.
Okay.
All right. Verse 13.
I'm not talking.
I know, but I'm reading your mind. All right. Which is more horrifying than...
Okay.
Anyway, verse 13. It also performs great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in front of people. So dude's calling down fire.
Okay.
It deceives those who live on the earth because of the signs. It deceives those who live on the earth because of the signs that it is permitted to perform in the presence of the beast, telling those who live on the earth to make an image of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. It was permitted to give breath to the image of the beast so that the image of the beast could both speak and cause whoever would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. And it makes everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, the beast's name, or the number of its name. Okay?
So, Social Security.
No.
Okay.
No. All right. So this calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, because it is the number of a person. Its number is 666. That's where we get that.
That's the second beast?
That's well, yes. Okay. Yes. It's
okay.
When you say the second, so
the second beast's number is 666.
No, that's the first beast's number.
The first beast's
number is 666. Because remember, the second beast is just doing everything to point to the first beast.
Okay.
All the second beast signs and wonders are pointing
to
the first beast. Or if we can distinguish it, all that the false prophet is doing is pointing toward the Antichrist.
Where's 666 from then?
What do you mean?
Why is that the number?
That's just the number that it's given. And often people think it's because it's speaking purely of just humanity, right? Like where 7 is like the divine number of God, 6 is the number of man.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that it's speaking, that's why it talks about, it's the number of a person. So it's the number
Satan,
of humanity.
First beast, second beast, 1 6 for each of them.
Yeah, there you go.
I can understand how conspiracy people read this stuff and just go off
100%,
because this is nonsense.
Yeah. Well, and it's been used for conspiracy stuff throughout, for
forever.
2,000 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like anytime there's a horrible individual that seems to be, bringing all power to himself, right?
Right.
Like in some, have you ever seen the charts and stuff at the end times? I don't know if you've ever seen those kind of charts that are made.
They're all different.
Yeah, right. They're all different, but there is this. But for a long time, okay.
I don't pay attention.
From the mid 20th century to let's say the 80s, for 30 years or so, and a lot of these charts, what will happen is there's all these charts and it's all about the Antichrist. Well, the Antichrist will have a picture of Hitler there.
Oh.
Yeah. And, they'll say, well, he was the Antichrist.
But he couldn't have been, because we're not dead yet. Or
Correct. Correct. And he never had authority over all the earth either, right?
Right.
And so that's the thing. It's like whoever this Antichrist is will end up, all authority will be given to him.
Will have to be worse than Hitler.
And yes.
Okay.
But will probably be perceived as someone, I mean, obviously if people are worshiping him, thinking he's great, he must be God's chosen person because he was fatally wounded and he got healed and, that kind of stuff. And so it seems like this figure is going to be a figure where people are obviously drawn to him.
So these two beasts of Revelation are supposed to help us figure out who this guy is.
Yeah, by the descriptions of them.
By the descriptions of them.
And as a warning to us that, hey, this is coming. This is going to happen. And that's why it says at the end, I'm talking about the first beast, it says, this calls for endurance and faithfulness from the saints. In other words, you're going to, there's going to be the threat of death, right? There's going to be the threat
because of being a Christian.
Because of being a Christian. And also so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, the beast's name, or the number of its name. In other words, you won't even be able to buy food. Participate in just basic commerce.
Okay.
And no, it's not going to be like somewhat conspiracy theories, like the idea of I don't know if you've heard this one, but don't get a vaccine because they're going to put the chip in the vaccine and that's going to be the mark of the beast. And the next thing you know, you have the mark of the beast in you and you didn't even know you had the mark of the beast.
That's why I said social security numbers, because they said that same thing back when those came out.
And it's and the reality is, it's no, you're going to know. It's not oops, I got the mark of the beast and didn't know it. Okay. You're going to know.
What's the mark look like?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's going to be whatever it is, whatever the it's talks about a mark on the right hand or on their forehead, but whatever this mark is, this identifying thing, that's going to be the way in which we're able to buy and sell, right? And without it, we won't be able to. And so for Christians, it is a warning that these things are going to occur. These things are going to happen. And when they do happen, we don't need to be freaking out or going, oh my gosh, didn't see this coming. No, we were told this is coming.
Okay.
And so now it's a matter of just being faithful in that, even if that means that we have to be martyred.
Oh.
And I don't throw that around lightly. You're right. I mean, it's easy for me to sit up here and talk about, in theory, being martyred, because there's reality. There's people in our world today who are being martyred for their faith. And they might think this stuff is actually happening,
okay, where
they are. And so for them, this is, and for future Christians, this will actually be a source of encouragement and comfort of, we knew this was going to happen. It has come to this. We will not take the mark of the beast, and we will die if we have to.
So why is it all metaphorical and
right, and not just laid out,
stupid, and not just straight up, so that these Christians aren't wondering if this is actually the real thing or not?
Yeah, and I think if Christians were to take a step back, right? And I know this is a hard thing for Christians to do sometimes, but if we could take a step back and look logically at this, all the things that have to occur to lead us to this point, right?
Oh,
and
are flat laid out.
Yeah,
in Revelation.
In Revelation, in Matthew 24 and 25, there's in 2 Thessalonians, there's plenty of passages that speak to the end times, what's going on in the end times, and what are going to be the signs leading up to that end times. Okay? And then when we're there to understand that there, and I get it, we're moving closer and closer to that point, right? We have more of a global economy than we've ever had. We have more, there are those kind of signs.
Okay.
Right? I think the question is going to be, for us, can we discern when there are going to be those, number one, that are claiming to be Christ that are not, okay, claiming to be messiahs, claiming to be saviors that are not? Can we discern that? And then number two,
I don't feel like anyone could get away with that right now.
Yeah, it would not now, right?
Right.
But it's going to take this kind of signs and wonders kind of stuff happening from them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be granted signs and wonders,
There'd have to be some crazy signs and wonders.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, dude could call fire down from heaven.
Because we're so desensitized to anything.
Sure. But if you're just walking around and this dude's just calling fire down from heaven, you're going to be like,
Okay.
Yep. I buy that. Like, that's different. Okay. And
yeah,
so,
but everyone who saw it be online be like, "That's bullshit." Like,
well, it talks
whatever.
About, it talks about performing great signs, all that kind of stuff. So, and they're going to deceive those who live on the earth, because of the signs that it's permitted to perform in the presence of the beast. And so, and it's going to even have an image of the beast, and the image of the beast can speak. That's kind of crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway, there's a lot of stuff that's going on here that I think will be very real to people, and you'll go, "Oh, that's what John was talking about."
Okay.
This is what's happening. Now, to be clear, there are some Christians that do not take Revelation as something that is going to happen in the future.
Okay.
They will take it as something that has already happened with the fall of the temple and the fall of Jerusalem in 1st century AD. Okay? So in 70 AD, when the temple fell, Jerusalem fell, they will connect this to that.
Who made them fall?
The Romans.
Oh.
Yeah.
When the Romans took over.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When they destroyed Jerusalem, destroyed the temple.
Why'd they do that?
Because it was just for them, it was like, yeah, we're done with the Jews.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, the Jews have had it rough.
They have.
Yeah.
For a long time. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think in a lot of ways the Jews were scapegoated in that event, but yeah, it's just anyway. By the emperor.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but it just, it's a reality. So some people will look at it as like history has already happened. Okay.
Okay.
But there's so much that is speaking about here that goes, for me, like when you hit Revelation 21 and 22 and it's talking about the new creation, and the new heavens and the new earth, man, like we haven't seen anything like that.
So was any of that real?
See, and that's the thing, like for me, that's real stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. New creation's going to have 85 heads and 42 horns.
No, but it will not have a sun, because we will not need a sun, because Christ is there.
Because God's hot enough?
Yeah, he's got enough light.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he'll just be in the sky, a giant face.
No.
Are we going to spin around his... Never mind. I don't.
What? I don't know where you're going with this. No, let's stop.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go, my man.
So not real beasts. All metaphors for end times stuff.
Yes, but
that we have to figure
out.
These
events, things like this, are going to happen. Yes.
All right. So we went through all the animals in the Bible.
Well, I don't know if we went through all the animals.
All the ones that we don't know what they are in the Bible.
We went through some weird creatures. Yeah.
Yeah. We hit all of them though, right?
I'm sure we probably missed something, but yeah, it's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yes, we did, sir.
Okay. The Revelation episodes that we do eventually, what's that called?
End times?
Yeah, but isn't there a word for that?
Apocalypse? Apocalyptic literature?
Yeah, I guess. Okay. But you called it something at one point.
Eschatology.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. When we do our eschatology study,
yeah,
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And nothing's going to be real. And don't listen to the episodes backwards. Because then the second beast will pop out. And it won't be real. And you'll be like, oh my God, a not real thing. And then
you go into a psychological break.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Go to Patreon, $5. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, download. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This Podcast, and X and locals at When I Heard This. Ring the notification bell. Tell everyone that you know about the show, and go to the website where there's t-shirts. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nate Robinsoff, and you can follow Joseph on Instagram at
Rev Joe T.
This has been the When I Heard This Podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.